I would just be giving attitude to him. If he said something that upset me, that I didn't like, or whatever it is, maybe I'm just on my cycle and just moody, I would give attitude. And not only in what I would say, but even in the way I would say it, my tone of voice. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Gems and Pearls with Love. My name is Caitlin Carice. If you are new here, welcome. I would love if you would subscribe and join me to this new channel on this journey to biblical womanhood. And if you are returning, thank you so much for returning. I appreciate you all so very much. So if you haven't noticed already, you might realize that, okay, I'm watching this clip, but the way that her mouth is moving is not quite matching up with the audio. And if you've noticed that, you are absolutely correct. This is a video that I'm going to be sharing with you guys and showing you guys. And in this video, I am talking about six different things that I did that was disrespectful to my husband. I'm also going to be talking about things that I've done that kind of helped me to change, helped me to actually realize that I was a disrespectful wife and to change a lot of my ways, which obviously I'm not perfect till this day. I've changed, I've definitely grown. So what has helped that? What has caused that? So I talked about that. I've also talked about changes that I noticed within my husband because I have changed, and changes that have happened in my marriage because I have changed. I also go into what are some fears that, I know that maybe women may have about trying to change and make these kind of changes to themselves. They may fear like, oh, their husband's just going to become this like dominated monster if they do this, and if they be this way, as a more of a respectful and submissive wife. And I kind of address that in my experience. I can only speak by my experience, and so I talk about that as well. So guys, that's it. I'm gonna get the video started, so here we go. So in this video, I want to actually list a few things that I did that I found was disrespectful. I mean, some of you may wonder, like, okay, so she obviously considered herself to be a disrespectful wife. Why? Like, what are the things that she did that was disrespectful? It's not an exhaustive list, but it is a few things that I kind of brainstormed and wrote down. So let's get right to it. Number one, I criticized him. I just was very critical. I was critical of anything that he would do. I was critical of his ideas. If it's something that I thought was weird or different, like way out there, I would, make it my face or just give like a negative comment about that and stuff like that. I was just very critical of him in general. Another thing is that I used to correct him in front of the children. So whether that's something that me and him should have discussed privately between us, or even if it's something to do with the way he may be disciplining our children, I may just think that, oh, well, that's not fair. Like, you didn't need to send him to his room for that. I mean, seriously, and instead of talking about it with him privately, or even just, stepping down and allowing him to take that lead that he's supposed to take, I would step in and have something to say. So that was disrespectful, because not only did I have something to say in a critical way, but I did it right in front of the children, which was a sign to them that mommy doesn't respect daddy. And not only that, that also made us look like we're not on the same team. Another thing that I did, I would take things that he would say or ask of me lightly. Marvin is so sweet, such a sweet, kind man. So when he asks me to do things, it's very much in a way like, oh, I was just wondering if you could do this, if you have time. If you don't have time, it's okay, but if you do, could you please do such and such? And instead of, actually taking that seriously and really trying to get that done and really trying to do whatever it is he asks, I would kind of just, brush it off and just not really pay too much mind, and, just wasn't respecting what he wanted of me, what he asked of me. I would give him attitude. Whether that was what I would say in my sarcastic remarks, I would just be giving attitude to him. If he said something that upset me, that I didn't like, or whatever it is, maybe I'm just on my cycle and just moody, I would give attitude. And not only in what I would say, but even in the way I would say it, my tone of voice. I would have this come across with this rude sort of tone of voice that I would use when I would speak to him. Not only that, but it's all even in here, my facial expressions, and I would, whether that's rolling my eyes or whatever it is, or just, making up this face, like kind of like that's ridiculous, I would have disrespectful, facial expressions, and even the way, even my body language would just come across as very disrespectful. Another thing would be emotional manipulation. When he's not doing things my way, when I'm not getting what I would want, especially when it comes to those topics, those type of things that is actually I really shouldn't care that much about, and it's like something that's really up to him, and I really shouldn't, it's like have that much to say. So what I would do is, instead of actually saying something, I would just use my emotions. I would show that I'm angry or upset. I would give this silent treatment and do stuff like that to sort of get him to kind of change his mind and do things my way. I would also take charge. I would take charge. I would be, and when I say I take charge, I mean, it wouldn't be in a way that's obvious. Like, it wasn't like, Marvin, go take out the trash and stuff like that. It wasn't like that. It was actually in a way where he would kind of say, I'm thinking about doing this, whatever the case is, and I'm like, actually, no, you're not. I don't, or I, it's like it would be in a more subtle way, the way that I would take charge. It wouldn't be that obvious, but it was obvious when I realized that I was the one that was taking more control of this, of what was going on in our family life. Somebody asked, how did I get on this journey? Like, how did I, end up changing or realizing that I was disrespectful and stuff? Well, some may think, okay, this is obvious. How did you not know? But honestly, I don't know how I didn't know. I just didn't. I just somehow convinced myself that if you ever asked me if you're respectful to your husband, I would have said, or do you respect your husband? I would have said yes. I just never noticed these things as I do now. And what caused that to change? Well, I would say a lot has to do with my religion, and I say religion for people who that's what they refer to it as. They believe a belief in a higher power is religion. So I say religion, but to me personally, I don't consider religion. I consider a relationship with my Creator, but I just say religion so others can understand. So I would say a lot with that. A lot of reading the Bible, a lot of praying and stuff like that. I would also say the company that I kept was different. I kept with, I was surrounded around women who were respectful and submissive to their husbands. Books that I have read, and I would think, so I think that would be and obviously, just allowing allowing the Heavenly Father to just soften my heart and allow me to see things in a different way. I would say is what kind of brought this process on, brought this change. And I by no means say that I am perfect and I got it all together. I listed these things, and I'm not saying that I've never ever done it again and I never will do it again. I'm not going to say that, because I slip up and I make mistakes, and I do see myself sometimes trying to fall back in bad habits, and I gotta catch myself, apologize, and get back on track. So by no means do I have this perfected, not at all. But so that's kind of how I ended up getting on this journey and seeing things and realizing things and changing things. And it started with a long apology to my husband. He was kind of like, okay, he didn't know that he was disrespectful. To him, these things were normal. So it was kind of where it's coming from for him too. But anyway, so that's kind of how that journey happened. And I think a lot of times wives can kind of be concerned that, well, if I start to show this respect to my husband, or if I start to allow him to take the lead and stuff like that, then isn't he going to end up walking all over me, and I'm going to have no voice, and I'm going to, isn't he just going to start to just change to be like this demanding, bossy man, and woman, go and pick up my plate? Well, I can't speak for anybody else's experience, but for me, I can say absolutely not. He's still that same sweet man. He still asks us for things in such a sweet and humble way, and it's me, I would say, that wants to just do things for him out of pure joy and just desiring to and wanting to do things for him, not because he's telling me to. And a lot of that feeling of wanting to do out of joy came from the fact that when I looked back on the way that I was, that he was always such a loving man. He never tried to change me. He never said, okay, this is what you do wrong, this is what you do wrong. He didn't try to change me. He wasn't unkind. He wasn't perfect, obviously. He's made his mistakes, but in general, when I look at him as a whole, he was such a loving, caring husband. And so when I look at that and I'm like, oh my gosh, and this is the kind of wife I was, so that just made me just want to pour out to him, pour out so much love and respect and honor to him, realizing this. And I think that's a good point for some men as well to know, like, if you feel like you're being disrespected by your wife, still be loving and kind to her. Because when hopefully she does end up realizing, her faults, then that's what she look at. It's like, wow, like, you were still loving me through that. You still love me through my ugly. So yeah, definitely not the bossy, demanding man, not at all. I saw him grow as a leader in a sense where he had more confidence to make decisions. He had more confidence in things that he would do. Like, when I would try to end up kind of slipping back in that, trying to use my emotions to get my way thing, when it comes to something that is important, that he knows is a good choice and it is right for the family, he will stand his ground despite my temper tantrum that I might try to throw. He will stand his ground, and I love that. I respect that he's able to stand his ground on things despite my temper tantrum or whatever it is I might try to throw at him. He's stronger and he's more confident to make those decisions at home and even at work. At work, he's the boss for some people. So he needs to sometimes stand his ground. He needs to sometimes tell people things that normally before he would have been like, honestly, he wouldn't want to say certain things to people because he doesn't want to hurt their feelings and stuff like that. Whereas now he will say what needs to be said in the kindest way as he can. He's so gracious. He's so patient. But when he needs to say things, he will say it. And he will stand his ground when he needs to. So that is some great changes that I noticed in him. He takes such a great leader position at work and at home. So that is something. So it definitely was, for my experience, was not this whole thing. And also, when it comes to even making decisions, he always wants to hear my input. We always discuss everything. He will come to me and he wants to hear my opinions because he knows that I may show him a perspective that he never thought of, and other way around. So he will want to hear my opinion. He will want to discuss things, but we just know that at the end of the day, he's the one that's going to make that final decision. So that's pretty much all I really wanted to say today. Hopefully you were able to find this video helpful in some way. If you are watching this and your wife and you feel like, and these are some things that I listed or things that you've done, no judgment towards you at all. No judgment towards you. Clearly, I've been there and probably sometimes still there a little bit. I'm trying. So no judgment towards you, no condemnation. I would say that if you believe in God, that I would recommend, praying about it and stuff like that. If you don't, maybe talking to your husband about it. And it starts off with that apology and just saying that I'm going to try to do better and stuff like that. So, and that is the end of this video. That will be all. Please, guys, like this video, comment, let me know your thoughts. And if you are into this kind of content, please subscribe and don't forget to share. Until next time, bye-bye.